Welcome back to Toffee Booze, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing my extra time match review of Everton 2, Manchester United 2. A game really that feels like 2 points dropped rather than 1 point gained. But I'll get into it with my thoughts, and we'll start with the starting 11. And I think it was to be expected that Abdoulaye Doucouré came back in. A lot of people probably would have said that Alcaraz should have kept his place in that starting 11, especially after his performance against Crystal Palace, for example. But I did actually expect Abdoulaye Doucouré to come straight back into the team. I think Moyes clearly does trust him to spearhead that press of midfield. And I think he likes having that structure more with Abdoulaye Doucouré rather than having Carlos Alcaraz obviously starting from the beginning. But I think potentially does it have something to do with Alcaraz's start clause for his loan deal? Maybe not making that decision to make it permanent until we've seen him more in an Everton shirt. I know he had a fantastic performance against Crystal Palace, but maybe that decision lies with the amount of starts that he had to make his loan permanent. But I think Moyes clearly has his suited style of play now. I think he has his suited core of players that he trusts week in, week out. And I think the only rotation we do see does come in the form of suspension or injury. So it's clear to see that Moyes does have his preferred lineup, and I think he's sticking to that more and more often now. But I was definitely not disappointed to see Doucouré come in. I think it was kind of expected, but we'll start with the first half, and I think it was an absolutely fantastic start, wasn't it? We flew at Manchester United. We were pressing as a team. It wasn't individuals pressing each player. It was the full team going up as one unit rather than individuals. So I think it was really good to see that we made. We forced a fair few mistakes from Manchester United on the ball. I thought they were so poor in that first half, and they were massively there for the taking. And as I said before, pressing as a unit against a team like Manchester United, it was always going to work. It was always going to bear fruit. So I think David Moyes got that spot on early doors flying at Manchester United. And the first goal, it was a little bit of a scramble. It was came for a Jack Harrison corner. I think there was about 8 or 9 headers when it eventually fell to Beto, who finished so well, and he netted in his 4th straight appearance now. Beto, I'm so happy for the boy. I think he massively deserves it. I think under Sean Dyche, he had such a torrid time at Everton, so to see him getting the credit he deserves and also him actually putting in decent performances on the pitch, I think it's so well deserved, and I'm really happy for the lad. I'm hoping he can go from strength to strength now and really kick on and start pushing us up the table rather than looking over our shoulder. But for Beto, I think to see him on the score sheet again, is he a shoo-in for the player of the month in the Premier League? I think there's a certain Mo Salah on the other side of the park that potentially might also be in for the award. But if the voting comes out and Beto's definitely a nominee, I will be 100% voting for him because I think he's had an absolutely fantastic month, especially since David Moyes has come in. But we carried on that performance. We carried on probing in that first half. Beto getting in behind from a great Jesper Lindstrom through ball, squaring it to Jack Harrison, who was one-on-one with Onana. He did hit the keeper. I think he hit the keeper in the face there, and it bounced all the way up into the air. And Doucouré was just first on the scene. He showed determination and won the header and made it 2-0 and put into a pretty much empty Gladys Street net. And that first half performance, it was so good. It capped off a really, really good performance in that first half. And seeing Abdoulaye Doucouré on the score sheet again, I think Moyes, whether there was some scrutiny over the Alcaraz Doucouré decision in his starting lineup, I think that was quickly forgotten when Doucouré put that into the Gladys Street net. And going into the halftime break at 2-0 up, you're feeling like, yeah, okay, we're in a really strong commanding position, but in my opinion, I did feel like we did need a third, to weather the storm. And there was going to be a storm in the second half. Manchester United had to react. There was no denying that they were always going to come out with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more desire to get back in the game, because I think they probably got a big telling off at half time from Ruben Amorim. But as I said before, I think at half time, my feeling was that I think we just needed a third to kill the game. And obviously, early second half, I think we did weather the storm. There was, inevitably there was going to be a storm, and we did. There was a slight lull from about 60 minutes to 70 minutes, and then a very soft free kick, which then led to another free kick coming off Abdoulaye Doucouré when he handballed it, and we just gifted them away back into it. It has to be said, it was a great free kick from Bruno Fernandes. I think it was Martin Keown on TalkSport this morning saying that Pickford should do better. He can only cover so much of the goal, and I think it was a very well placed free kick from Bruno Fernandes, but it was so soft to let them back into the game that way, and it kind of created a very nervy, edgy atmosphere in Goodison Park, something that we've seen so many times as Everton fans, that a nervy atmosphere, a nervy Goodison Park, and it can capitulate very quickly. You only have to think at the start of this season where we were 2-0 up against Bournemouth, for example, and went on to lose that game 3-2 at a nervy Goodison Park. I think it does massively transpire onto the pitch, and you could kind of feel the atmosphere really take a turn when that Bruno Fernandes free kick went in. And considering how well we did for 70 minutes, and it really did feel like it was going to be an uphill battle to try and keep the 3 points, which is it's disappointing to say. And I think Moyes has instilled more of a never say die attitude and an attitude where we can stay compact for longer. But it did feel like a massively uphill task to keep the lead at that point. And then obviously, as we know, Manuel Ugarte found the ball on the edge of the box and he finished to make it 2-2. And it was so disappointing to throw it away in the manner that we did. But yeah, Manchester United were much improved in that second half, and the likes of Bruno Fernandes, if you're not pressing him and giving him all the time in the world on the ball, he's going to cut you apart more than once. And I think he definitely did that. I think he was instrumental in Manchester United getting back into the game. But the game lulled on from there. I think Manchester United had a few more chances. Garnacho and that the young kid Obi, I think he had a chance as well, but nothing of note really. A good save from Jordan Pickford from Bruno Fernandes from range, which kept the game at 2-2. And at that point, you're really worrying that we just need to hold on for a point, considering where we were on 70 minutes, flying, cruising through the game at 2-0. To hold on to a point, I think, with 20 minutes to go, I think was really disappointing. But there's one incident, and then it's the obvious elephant in the room, which I haven't addressed yet. And I've conveniently and left it to the end of this video because I wanted to get all my thoughts out on the game as a whole before I got angry about the last decision. And it's obviously the penalty incident with Ashley Young. It's a penalty for me, absolutely no question in the world. He was pulled back. There was two shirt pulls from De Ligt. There was a trip from Maguire. Why the referee, the referee initially gave the penalty. That's why I was in agreement. It was a penalty for me, hands down. But we've heard it so many times from PGMOL in recent weeks. They're waxing lyrical about how they don't want to re-referee games. They want to let the referee get on with the decision making on the pitch. And in my opinion, that was just the prime example of VAR getting involved when they absolutely shouldn't have got involved. For me, they're trying to find things wrong with the game to try and disallow goals. It's really negative officiating, in my opinion. It's not positive at all because, if you're refereeing games to the inch of their life and making everything on the screen for the referee to look at, obviously they're going to try and find something wrong with it because you're sending the referee to the monitor. You're making them subconsciously think that they've got something wrong. So if you're sending them to the monitor, of course they want to change their decision. So in my opinion, it should never have gone to VAR. It should never have been intervened with. I think the initial decision should have been stuck with. It was obviously a subjective decision. Most penalty incidents are subjective decisions. So why VAR are re-refereeing the game and taking the onus off the referee is absolutely beyond me. But again, it just shows where we're up to in terms of officiating in this country. I think there's a lot to be done and there's a lot to be desired of other countries because, again, PGMOL are waxing lyrical that they don't want to re-referee games, but there's absolutely no consistency. They've done it once again and re-refereed a game. And, you're looking in the first half as well. The Beto incident, for example, the Beto goal, which I saw absolutely nothing wrong with the Beto goal. But for me, the reason it took so long is because it felt to me that they were trying to find something wrong with the goal to try and disallow it, which, it might not be true. It might be true. But in my opinion, if you're meticulously analysing an incident like that to within an inch of its life, that's not clear and obvious. That's not a clear and obvious error. So you should just let the game flow. We're ruining great games. We're spoiling great games by completely disrupting the flow and meticulously analysing each decision to within an inch of its life. And that's not what VAR should be. VAR should be merely just there to assist the referee if they think it's a clear and obvious error. So there was absolutely no clear and obvious error in the Young penalty, in my opinion. But that's enough about referees. I conveniently left it towards the end of the video because I didn't want to get too worked up and too carried away with it and wanted to tell you my thoughts on a whole of the actual game itself. But my final thoughts, it shows how far we've come as a club in recent weeks under David Moyes, that we're disappointed to come away with a 2-2 draw against Manchester United rather than, we would have been absolutely buzzing with that. Could it have come before Christmas under Sean Dyche? So I think it shows how much we've improved and how far David Moyes has taken us in the short time he's had the squad at Everton. But that is all from me today. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments about the game against Manchester United. Obviously, we've got the games coming thick and fast. We've got a game against Brentford in midweek on Wednesday, and then obviously the weekend off with the FA Cup weekend. But let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.